And we will now continue to the first topic, socio-economic aspects of the coexistence. And here we'll get the overview from Finland, from Scandinavia, and also perspective from Slovenia. So our first speaker is Ollila, and Anne is going to talk about how large carnivores affect reindeer herding in the reindeer husbandry area.
So, hello again, ladies and gentlemen. There have been quite many situations where I have been trying to explain what reindeer herding is, not really finding the correct words describing the reindeer herding as such, or finding words the people I'm talking to can understand. Then we have a visit from the Commission. Recently retired director Pia Busela, who Andras already introduced, visited us here a few years ago, and we made a field trip in the eastern border of the reindeer herding area in Salla, and we drive 80 kilometers by snowmobiles, and we saw a few reindeer and the footprints of Wolverine and many other things. And after that trip, I found out the right words. Pia told me after that field trip that now she understands why reindeer cannot be protected by dogs. It's because they're wild animals. So that's the basics when we have to keep in mind when talking about reindeer herding. When thinking of the coexistence with large carnivores in everyday life, our setting in the reindeer herding area is by far quite challenging. We have all 4 large carnivores, as we already heard, and reindeer are owned by private people. They are living in these wild Arctic areas basically as wild animals, just like large carnivores. So what may work in many other places in Europe does not usually work very well here. In Finland, the reindeer husbandry area is around 36% of total area of Finland, and it's divided in 54 independent units called cooperatives. And as you can see, the cooperatives differ quite a lot according to size and the number of reindeer owners and reindeer as well. Altogether, we have nowadays about 190,000 reindeer, breeding reindeer, and that is more than 10,000 less than we are allowed to have. So it's the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry that sets the limit of the number of reindeer we can have, and that's the situation right now. The main product and the main source of reindeer herders' yearly income is the meat. In addition, reindeer herders get their income from meat processing, tourism, handicrafts, and other reindeer-related activities. So my topic today will focus on how large carnivores affect on reindeer herding in the reindeer husbandry area, and I will look into the chapter through 3 key points. First is the amount of damages, then I show you the collapse of cooperatives, and then I say a few words about future. The first point is the significant amount of damages caused by large carnivores. The history of the past does not give a very optimistic view to the future. The damages caused by large carnivores have been growing steadily in the reindeer husbandry area. To say it in numbers, last year we found more than 4,000 reindeer killed by large carnivores. And you have to remember that most of the reindeer getting killed by large carnivores disappear to nature and are never found. When we consider to estimate that researchers have about how many reindeer large carnivores actually kill per year, this number goes up around 25,000 to 35,000. So in practice, this means that less than 20% of killed reindeer are ever found. The connection between economics and increased damages is direct. As I already said, the reindeer herders' core income comes from the meat production, and therefore the income is strongly related to the number of slaughtered reindeer. We will hear more about that later when Sanna comes to the stage. So my second point today is the development of total collapse of reindeer herding in reindeer herding cooperatives. Most severely affected cooperatives in Finland are found from south, east and northern border areas. And this is because large carnivores move over national borders to Russia, Norway, Sweden and back again. So I'm using the reindeer herding cooperative called Halla as an example here, as it's one of the worst hit cooperatives in Finland suffering from collapse at the moment. Halla is the southernmost cooperative in the Finnish reindeer herding area, as you can see from the map. The collapse of reindeer herding cooperative can be described through 3 stages. First, since there are less and less cows, the meat production starts to decline. Due to this development, the foundation of the reindeer herders' economy collapses. In the second phase, the amount of breeding females start to diminish, causing also a decline in the breeding stock as a whole. Finally, in the third phase, reindeer herders start giving up on their work and slaughtering their remaining herds. This development of collapse has spread during the last decade to other parts of the reindeer husbandry area very quickly. In the map, the green color means that there is no collapse type development visible at the moment. Yellow describes the first phase when the number of slaughtered animals has dropped to a very low level, and in consequence the income of reindeer herders has dropped as well. Orange color describes the second phase when the number of breeding stock is getting down drastically. Red is the third and final phase. Reindeer herders are giving up and moving to bigger towns or cities to be miserable. So during the reindeer husbandry era, 2005 and 6, there were 6 cooperatives in collapse development in Finland. In 2009-10, already 20 cooperatives were infected. Last statistics in 2014-15, they show the number of cooperatives living through collapse was 32. So the situation is definitely alarming at the moment. We must have means to end this devastating development. As you can see, the problem with large carnivores started from the southern cooperatives, and it has spread over along the eastern border to the rest of our reindeer husbandry area. Something is not quite right. There is great concern over those already collapsed, but also the ones that are having growing problems with large carnivores. They are also heading towards collapse. The problem needs really to be tackled before it's too late. The third issue I want to raise here is the future. About 20% of reindeer owners in Finland are under the age 25. The number of young people starting the profession as a reindeer herder has been stable in Lapland for decades, and it still is. Our youngsters have a very strong will to continue. They are proud of their profession, they cherish their cultural heritage, and they do have a trust that problems with large carnivores can be solved in a reasonable way. The current setting in those red-colored cooperatives you just saw, that are already too heavily affected by large carnivores, is not very prominent for young herders wanting to start with their own herd. A lot of the youngsters there have already heard their parents saying the word "do something else." And some of them do, despite the fact that they would really want to continue in this profession, because they have grown into it. So the question reindeer herders are asking is, are we enabling them to? With the decisions and policies made, do we support young people's possibility to choose a career and a life as a reindeer herder, or do we just say it's impossible, you should do something else? When making decisions that affect on a livelihood, also the long-term effects must be considered. It's not only about how we resolve the imminent problem here and now today, it's also about what kind of grounds these decisions set for future generations. Sorry. This should be the key motivator for us to find solutions to challenges appearing now. So it's good that the platform has recognized the importance to consider also the socio-economical questions alongside ecological. They are all equally important when aiming to find solutions to this situation. In this presentation, I have raised 3 points that I regard as key questions when considering the coexistence of large carnivores and reindeer husbandry in everyday life from a socio-economic perspective. First was the significant amount of damages. These are too severe at the moment. We have to be able to cut down these numbers. Reindeer herders are able and they are willing to feed large carnivores in some extent, because that is a natural part of life in our area. Still nowadays the amount of lost reindeer is absolutely unbearable and unreasonable. It has to be cut down. Second was the concern over spreading collapse of reindeer herding cooperatives. It has to stop. Reindeer herding is a long-standing profession and a unique culture. It is worth saving. Finally, the possibilities of the future are in the hands of today's decision makers. We really need solutions, because in the end, if we are not finding solutions and taking actions towards them, it will be too late. Our young people have a strong will to continue, and we all do have a responsibility to make it possible for them. To conclude, local information needs to be heard in our capitals and also in Brussels, and it must be taken seriously. We must be allowed to control and limit the number of large carnivores in reindeer herding area, because there is no other means we are able to use for preventing the amount of damages. We have a right to develop our culture so that we will also have a future here in the northernmost part of European Union. Even though there are sometimes great challenges in finding mutual agreement in different questions related to large carnivores, we need to keep our aim on finding real solutions. I believe that this platform is a very good forum to discuss that. Thank you.